This is a Witch Space Special Bulletin. I'm Commander Buur. Will Flanagan, Frontier Development's Senior Community Manager, just made a surprise announcement about the future of Elite Dangerous via the official forums. In the announcement, Will and the team acknowledge the hunger present in the community for information about the future of Elite and have set about managing some expectations for the coming year and beyond. In the recent past, the team at Frontier have made mention of the next era of Elite. I'll cut to the chase now. That next era is not happening this year. It's currently scheduled for the latter half, brace yourself, of 2020. What form that next era actually takes is still up for speculation. There's no details on that yet, but there's obviously at least two prime candidates or some melange of both. Those two options being space legs and atmospheric landings. However, the language used by Will in the post when referring to the next era is interesting to say the least. He describes it as, quote, a defining moment in the history of the game and will be our biggest update yet, unquote, and goes on to say that it will be the single most impactful update for our community. And further goes on that they intend for Elite to be the most authentic, ambitious and expansive evolving space game in the world. He did clarify again that the next era will be paid for content, but that it will be included in the lifetime expansion pass if you're lucky enough to have that. So the wait for space atmosphero dino hunting legs is going to be a while longer, certainly not this year. So what's next then? Well, the majority of the ED development team is focused on the next era, but there is a smaller development team working on the current game and they're planning to bring us a series of updates every 3 to 4 months, so not a dissimilar schedule to what we've seen with updates so far. The first two of these updates will be primarily focused on the new player experience and getting new people into the game. For the longevity of a game like Elite, bringing in new blood is absolutely critical to its financial viability. Frontier Developments isn't a charity after all, and game development is hugely expensive. Let's be honest, ladies and gentle goats, Elite Dangerous, as much as we love it, is utterly brutal in the opening stages, often totally unforgiving, and the barriers to entry into the game can be monumental. I've had at least 3 good friends of mine who are all fairly hardcore gamers fall by the wayside when trying to unravel the early game. That's no good for the life of an evolving long term vision and has to be addressed in my honest opinion. So I was really pleased to hear that. Will also mentioned that these updates will include quality of life improvements for the game for all commanders. The existing player base has been addressed in the post however as well. It seems FDev are planning to revisit the community goals idea and inject new life into that. It also sounds like the scenario system introduced at the end of last year may be taking on a larger role. As is always the case with these things, the update has had mixed reactions from the community. It wouldn't be the internet if it didn't. There's no mention at all yet of Icy Worlds graphical updates that were talked about and shown at the Frontier Development Expo in 2017, and likewise fleet carriers are still not being talked about. That was also first mentioned at the Frontier Expo. Also, there's no word yet on any changes to the power play system, something that was bandied about and then sunk without a trace. It doesn't mean it isn't happening, it just means Frontier aren't saying anything at all about it still. My main takeaway from this post is that Frontier have reiterated that Elite Dangerous is a long term project with long term goals, and whilst I'd like all the shiny tomorrow, and who wouldn't, we at least have a window now for the next big thing, and some expectations are set for the next year to 18 months or so. Whatever happens, the Buur Pit will be here as usual, bringing it to your face as soon as we can. 07 Commanders, and fly safe.